I am going to present 5 improvements that, if added to NBA 2K26, would make it the best NBA game in years. These include changes to game modes such as the theater, rack, the stage, and more. Each of these improvements are not large changes that would alter the game entirely. They are just some quality of life changes and a little bit more that would increase the game's longevity and playability throughout the year. And I'm going to tell you this, number 5 is my favorite. The first mode I'm going to be discussing is the theater mode. Now, I love the theater mode because it allows you to play quick 2v2, 3v3, 1v1 games in a matchmaking form. The park is great and all, but I have never liked waiting for games. I've played the park since it initially came out, and I've always not been a fan of waiting on the got next. Now, when the got next are enjoyable is when you got a streak going and you got people waiting to play you, see if they can break your streak. That's when it's really enjoyable. And some of these changes I'm going to bring to theater can kind of add that feeling to this mode. The first fix is we need to see the streaks on theater like we do in the park. You know, when you load up into a park game versus someone, you can see what streak they're on. If they're on a high enough streak, their ball is on fire, the court's on fire. We need to bring that same thing to the theater. When you match up against a team in theater and they're on a streak, it should show you the streak they're on. If they get a high enough streak, they should get the fireball, the fire court. It should be the same thing in theater. I don't know why it doesn't show you if the team you're versing is on a streak. I think that should be in the game because that would actually make you want to play more. When you see your streak, it makes you want to keep that streak going. Say you're playing theater now, you're on a 7-game win streak. Nothing tells you you're on a 7-game win streak. You might even forget you're streaking because you're just playing and you forget. No, we need to incentivize streaking in the theater like park. People that do not like the park, I think a lot of it is with the streaks, because when you're on a win streak, you can't really see anything change from the streak. You should see changes from the streak. Now, a radical idea I would love is your streak gets 10 plus, you should get some extra XP per game when you have such a high streak. But you know, they'll never add that. So I'm going to keep that one to the side. Now, the next change is kind of drastic because the mode is called the theater. So they want you to be playing in sort of a theater-like environment, which I think is dumb. Put us in just a realistic type park. I guess you can still call it the theater, or you can change the name, it don't matter. Just make it an outdoor or indoor court like all the rest of the game modes. Now, some news has came out about NBA 2K26, and they have discussed that with the park, they're gonna go back to realistic parks, which thank God. But can you also bring that to the theater? No one I've ever played with has actually enjoyed the court being in a theater. If it was up to me, it would be like, I'm gonna get to this later with a different mode, but the theater, you go in there and matchmaking a game, there's gonna be like a rotation of 5 maps, like Call of Duty. You got a beach court, you got a court in the city, not in the city, but like in a city environment. Maybe you have a court in like a snowy area, maybe, you know, just a rotation of maps. It changes up the environment, it makes things fresh, and I don't want to be playing on the stage. Now, this is the final and biggest change that needs to be the theater. When I'm playing as a small forward, stop making me the big man. That's the most frustrating thing with the theater, in my opinion. So I have a build that's a 6'4" small forward, and anytime I load up to the stage, I am playing the big man. And what happens? I get matched up with a actual big man, and I just get scored on because I'm way too small. And I have multiple small forward builds. This happens with every single small forward. Like my friend, his main build's a small forward, and we play the theater a lot. And every time it makes him the big man, it's horrible. And if it's gonna keep making the small forward the big man and not look for a big man, match us up with a team that doesn't have a big man like they do in the 1v1s. Like in the 1v1s, if you're a guard, they finally fixed it to where you're not gonna match up with a center in the theater. Add that to the theater. If they add these changes, I think the theater mode would be much improved by then. Now, this is just a very small change, and I'm not a huge stage player, but when I do go in the stage, I miss when you would win a game, you would have those slot machines after the game. Say you win a game, it pops up and it does like a spin, like a slot machine. And if you get 3 of the same kind, you get that multiplier to your VC. I don't know why they took that out, but I always enjoyed that aspect because it's just a small thing that increases players' wantingness to keep playing. They might not even think about that, but every time they see it, it makes them want to play another game. Because you never know, you could get the jackpot, which I forgot, but years back, the jackpot was massive. And I think ever so often, if no one won the jackpot, it would just increase Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I feel like that was the case. And then if you did win the jackpot, your player was on a billboard or something. Again, I'm not an avid stage player, never was, but I remember that being the case, and they got to bring that back because I really enjoyed that. Would I love that to be added to every single game mode? Of course, but it kind of makes sense being in the stage because the stage is about playing for VC. So I think they should keep it there and add it back, please. Now, I'm not even going to go into the whole ranking system debacle that occurred this year with Proving Grounds. I'm sure they know they need to fix that. What I'm talking about is just purely the aesthetics in the Proving Ground. I really love the Proving Ground concept, but why did they choose to put it in somewhere that looks like the Roman Coliseum? They just need to stick to realistic courts, like everyone says, realistic courts in a realistic environment. Please, we don't need none of this goofy shit. This is all goofy. 2K26, I am hoping that they just put us in just a basketball arena, court, something that's not the Coliseum. Secondly, this should go for all game modes. Change it up throughout the year. The Proving Grounds literally had the same courts and the same jerseys the entire year. That should never happen, especially when we have something called seasons. Now, they started doing this with the rec finally, where they would at least change the jerseys. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but they need to go more with that too. But please, you have to change the scenery and the jerseys at least every few seasons. Having the Proving Grounds look the exact same way the whole year just made everything monotonous, dull, and boring. You'd be surprised what just changing the looks of things could do for a player's interest in the game. I think if they change the Proving Grounds to look realistic and like a realistic court type area, and they change it up throughout the year, I think that would go a long way, not even discussing the ranking system, into people really enjoying the mode. And this really goes for all modes, but right now I'm talking about Proving Grounds. Please don't put us back in the Roman Coliseum. Now, this next change, they actually already have it in the game. Actually, they had it in last game, and I haven't even played Pro-Am this year, so I don't know if it's still there. But last year in Pro-Am, you could actually rewatch your recent games, I'm pretty sure, if I do remember that correct. But I would love if they added a recent games theater mode like they had in Call of Duty, where basically maybe your last 5 or 10 games, you can go back and watch a replay of them and get different angles and stuff. And this should be in every mode, park, rec, anything, to go back and rewatch your games. I think that would just be an awesome feature for editors. You just want to go watch some film, break down something happened crazy, you want to go back and rewatch it. Just there's so many different scenarios where this could be useful. Do I think they're going to ever add this? No, of course not. I think it'll just stay in Pro-Am. Maybe they'll bring it to Proving Grounds because it's competitive, maybe, but that's just something I wish would be in the game that probably won't be in the game, but I want to bring that up. Finally, for number 5, rec map rotations. And what I mean is, just like Call of Duty, I said this earlier with theater, give us like 5 courts that are in rotation, so whenever you play a rec game, you load in, you never know what court you're gonna get. Of course, it's one of the 5, but which 5 will you get? And like I said earlier, you'll be surprised at how changing the looks of things reinvigorates players', I guess if it's a word, one ability to play the game. Previously in 2Ks, they wouldn't even change the jerseys or courts. It was the same exact jersey and court the entire year, and that was so monotonous. It's still monotonous up to this year because yes, they changed the look of the court and the jerseys. They don't change the scenery at all. We're in a weird gymnasium. If they gave us like a regular looking rec center to play in, an outdoor Rutgers Park looking thing to play in, you know, just like come up with cool scenarios to have a court, I think that would go a long way in players wanting to keep playing the game throughout the year. If you notice, most of these improvements are just small tweaks that would make the player want to keep playing the game throughout the year. Because my biggest problem is every year I end up taking months off of the game where I don't play the game for months. Like this year, I took like 5 months away from playing the game because the game just gets so repetitive and monotonous and you do the same things every time and it looks the exact same way every time. If they just changed the way things looked, I think it would really go a long way. So that was some changes that if they were to come to NBA 2K26, I feel like it would be a great year. And if y'all have any additions you would like to add to this, please let me know in the comments. It's always interesting to read what people would want in 2K games. And if you're interested to see how good a build would be with 99 interior defense and 99 perimeter defense, watch this video.